How's it going? All right. And I did one of these maybe about 2, 3 years ago. Some of these microphones may be something that you saw if you saw that old one. You know, I've been doing these current videos, and I kind of try my best to not make it seem like it's smoke and mirrors. That I think one thing that lacks in modern engineering and recording is that there's this idea of this plugin that is just gonna make everything better. And so some of this is gonna be a talk about microphones, and then some of this is gonna be about what I would think is some of, honest, the bullshit of what you're fed and what you think and what you need to buy to make record. Now I'm gonna only speak strictly of people that want to record bands, record drums, live violins, string sections, engineering, even if you play acoustic guitar, even stylistically music. Let's say you're like a sitar and a stand-up bass, that's your band. All these things that I'm going to talk about are going to be things that could possibly help you with that. So if you're looking at this is a weak, sick Coles microphone that happens to have a ribbon that was wasted. I've got all these little parts over here. I'm actually working on that, but this is kind of like my therapy. These mics are the hardest mics to work on of all ribbon mics, but we'll talk about that. I do plenty of content regarding ribbons. So we're going to talk about microphones, what mics I use for recording, and some of the things that have to do with that. This may be a long one. I'm going to try to get this done as soon as I can. You may have to catch this later because I'm going to be babbling about some stuff. I want to remain optimistic about modern recording. The fact that kids or people or men or women can go out and buy a laptop and get a UA that has some preamps in it, or virtual preamps, and they can get the mics up and go back home when they're super pumped. They get their band together and they make a record. That is one thing, but I am not going to be talking about that thing. I'm talking about people that it's not like by accident you're going to record your stuff. You're actually, your wife, convinced your wife and your family, you're going to build out the garage and you're going to have this studio and you're going to have this thing that's going to be happening in your life. And it's a tall order. It's a tall order to do that. I've been doing this since the late 90s. And I remember I was an operator for AT&T, and I had to make a decision. I worked at 6 in the morning, and after work, which I got off at 2:30, which is almost the perfect time to start a session, I would record until 1, 2 in the morning. And I would get off work and then go pretty much sleep a few hours and go straight to work. But somewhere down the road, I was getting really good. My first 2 records were so fucking sick. I was like, you know what? I really like this. I'm wondering if I could do this for a living. And as now we are fast forward 2025, I am not glamorous. I've got a used Subaru. I'm in a building that is considered a war zone in East LA. But I'm getting to do what I love. I am part of a 2-income family, which means living in Southern California is incredibly expensive, but I have a wife. She works, I work. Her working permits me to come in here every day and even do this. What am I doing here? I'm looking for someone to get me a cup of coffee. I know I sound like a pimp whore about that, but hey, if people want to get me a little coffee and the thanks, the only person that can't is Shannon. That guy buys me coffee every time. Shannon, hold tight. No one has to do that. I'm doing this actually to educate you and show you what I use, but you should take what I'm going to share with a grain of salt. Hold on, I'm getting a drink of this. All right, the topic is microphones for recording a band. Sitting over here is a Coles. The history of this is Led Zeppelin, White Stripes. Jack White sings out of these, puts these on his guitars. It's a ribbon mic. Definitely a tool trade. They're very expensive, but there are options to this. I want to let you know that This microphone is a microphone you can buy right now at Sweetwater. Symbolically, it is a ribbon mic just like this one. This one, a pair of them could be like 3,300 bucks. A pair of these to buy from Sweetwater are $99 a piece. And what I do is people buy these, and in my description, you're going to see my email or in all my contact, Instagram, whatever way you want to get a hold of me. Get a hold of me. I give you my P.O. box. You order it from Sweetwater, send it directly to me. And this $99 mic, I will modify for $250, and that includes, now, the reason I even offer this is that Sweetwater will ship this to free to me. As long as you buy it, I'll give you my P.O. box. They send this to me for free. I'm going to open up this mic like what you see with this Coles. I'm going to put a new ribbon in there. I'm going to tune it. It's going to get 2 to 3 dBs more sound than it originally came, and the mid-range and the upper frequencies are going to be amazing. This microphone then, for the cost of $250 for me and 99 bucks for you, will sound like a world-class $1,300 ribbon mic. Or I'll say the budget for ribbon mics, which you get to the next level, are somewhere over $700 to $800, and they run up to even $4,500. But I think from the design of this mic is very comparable to a Coles. Has a big open basket. This has an open basket. So this mic, speaking of mics, is one of the tools of the trade that I love, and I probably have done, I don't know, 60 more. I don't know. I've been doing these for about 3 or 4 years, helping out all my local friends and producers. I very rarely recently have talked about them on YouTube, except maybe when I was doing Produce Like a Pro, I'd mention them. But here I am really talking about these because I am starting my own mic company and I have my own mic line. I will not be doing these in the future because I don't think I'm going to have the time to. So now's the time to take advantage. I know that sounds like a big pimp. I love these mics. I would not tell you about these unless they kicked ass. And this is an MXL R144. This is a 40, which is an older one. But the 44 is pretty much almost the same one that you can buy now. So let's get back to the topic of recording. Now that mic is good for acoustic guitar, electric guitar, crooners, and vocals. So I just mentioned a little bit about this mic. This mic I do not own. This came in to be repaired. And as you can tell, I talk about ribbon mics all the time. So I'm going to get to a microphone which I really love. And I'm going to start with maybe the newest mics. And I'll get to some vintage ones in between. So I'm going to start with technically a mic that I use every session. And I would say recently, I've almost exclusively used this for vocals. And it has a brother or sister, but I'll explain that once I talk about this mic a little bit more. Move this aside. Look at that beauty. Shannon, I'm going to ask for people to buy me a little cup of coffee or Topo Chico. You are officially banned, man. You always hook me up, Shannon. Thank you. Okay, so we're talking about microphones, recording a band live, and really, and what I'm going to offer in this, I'm going to try to give you some other options that you don't necessarily have to get this, but I'll explain how this works in my studio and why I'm using it. This is a brand new mic you can buy. They are, technically, you would consider expensive. This is a Mojave MA37. I've been using this probably about 3 years, maybe more. They still make it. It's a flagship of the company. A beautiful, beautiful capsule in there. If you're familiar with Royer microphones, Mr. Royer here is the designer of this microphone, and he works for Mojave, and he's really still key to designing. Even though he founded and started Royer, he had been making some tube microphones, and this is technically kind of a revision Sony C37. Sony C37s are about $7,000 up to $12,000. It's an incredibly sought after mic, used Frank Sinatra up to recent. Everybody, Steve Albini, you name it. If they have, I think Van Halen, their first record, may have had these as overheads. So not this one, but Sony C37s. So they redid this mic. Now, I had done a session with Hunt Sales. He's the drummer for Iggy Pop, Tin Machine. I did one song with them. And it was the first time, I believe, I was using this mic, and they had sent it over. We use this on the drums, and then I put it on the bass guitar. I put it on the guitars. He sang through this. It was fucking incredible. Whatever he yelled and screamed, and he had this voice that was insane, this mic was able to capture it. So I have this always on hand. It's definitely like, I have a little place to put on my mics. I have my own little mic locker. When I start a session, this comes out. And sometimes on what the band sounds like, I dictate what this is going to be used on. If I have my own bass rigs, I'm going to use this. If the artist brings in their own bass rigs, I'll use another mic I'm going to speak about in a little bit. So when I use this mic on drums, it could be used in 3 different ways. I either use this as a center overhead right above the drums. I either use it as a tube mic out on the floor. I set it to its Omni, and you can set it from cardioid to Omni by this adjustment. You put a screw back there. I know that sounds sacrilegious, but you do that. And then I lay it on the floor. I don't lay it on the floor. I put it on a stand, and I put it as close as I can to the floor. And now the drum set is out there. Now, if the kick drum is the center, I'll put this about 3 feet, a little bit outside the edge of the kick drum. If I use it on the right side, it's about 3 feet, about that much on the edge of the kick drum. When I say 3 feet, I mean 3 feet out in front of the drums. Incredible. As an overhead, it's 2.5 drumsticks. If you get a drumstick and you were to stand it on end from the center of the snare, I usually go 2.5 up. If the guy's a banger, I'll go 3 drumsticks. And then sometimes I'll use this, because I only have one, I'll use this as a center overhead. And then there's some other mics I'm going to talk about that sometimes I put this on a side shot across the toms. Now, that's when I'm just doing drums. When it goes for bass guitars, I put this right up. I mean, this takes good sound pressure. I probably could even use this as a kick drum mic. So I put this up on a bass rig. If I want to get the John Paul Jones kind of sound, the guy has a massive bass rig. You can move this back maybe 2 feet, 3 feet, and you're getting this huge low end, because the low end takes a little bit of time to build up. So you could probably just move this mic around until you feel like the low end hits it and it sounds its best, best sound that you're looking for. There isn't, that's another thing when people talk about mics. Like everything, like a practicing, I use this analogy of a practicing physician, practicing law, you're just practicing. Even though you're a doctor and you're the best doctor in the world, it's called a practicing physician because they got to figure shit out. And they're going to heal you, or they're not going to heal you. They're going to guess what your problem is, and they're going to try to fix you. But it is a work in progress. While recording is the same way. All these variables matter, which I just mentioned. So this is the Mojave MA37. I pretty much predominantly use this as a room mic in front of the drums on the floor, set to Omni from the back. I always, of the last maybe 1 or 2 years, every lead vocal I do is going to be this. So before I put this down, the next mic I'll bring up, a mic is kind of linked to this mic, and I'll tell you right now. The next mic I'm going to be talking about is going to be an RE20, and this is a vintage one. I don't know really. A buddy told me this was vintage. I can't, as much as I love microphones, I don't know what dictates this being a vintage one. I know it was already, the foam goes bad in these. And if you move it around, it kind of bounces around. You hear something inside, you got to send it in to get it repaired, because that foam always deteriorates. So now the reason I brought this out with this mic is that every vocal of the last few years, doesn't matter if the singer whispers or screams, I put this mic out, and then I put this mic under it. And I kind of align it to where maybe as close as I can to the capsule inside. And the singer I'm capturing is singing more into this mic. But I have him going, and it's usually, my band's always crazy and people sing loud. So I'm using both of these at the same time. And when I go to mix the record, I'm actually mixing in both mics, and you'd be shocked on how much of a vocal. And there's some songs I only use the MA37, And there's some songs I only use this. Some songs I drop this in volume and only bring up the MA37, and some songs I use them equal. But because I use two mics, and if you listen to any of the records I do, they're pretty interesting, and the vocals are always intense and in your face. That is how I use these microphones to get the best out of a vocal. It doesn't matter if he's screaming, he's moving up and down. One of those mics, and also maybe when the guy's done singing, I will listen to the MA37 and go, wow. I think is like if you listen to Radiohead when they do basement tapes, he's always singing into this. So maybe this singer has that, like, Tom vibe of Radioheadish kind of things, and I'll lean in on this mic. And then maybe if it's like a distorted track and it's really intense, I want more of his like face, then I'll use the Mojave MA37. So I've brought this mic in, and this is an RE20, supposedly a vintage one. I'm not sure how you could tell, but I have it. I know this is not a new one. I can't tell you the era it's from, but these are expensive in the sense of, like, yeah, they're $400, $500 for my. I know you see podcast people using these and stuff. I have been hip to these from Steve Albini. He told me about these when I started my studio. This is what I should get. So in my studio, when you listen to any of I did a video yesterday about drums. I did not have this mic on the drums, but on some records that I've done, this is like Terry Bozzio from Missing Persons kick drum. And the way they did it was you put it inside the kick drum, and they would put wires in, like, kind of, if you can imagine, like a spider web. And this is inside the kick drum with these wires holding it in the center of the kick drum. They sealed up the both heads, and that was the Missing Persons kick drum. For a lot of years, if this is the whole of the kick drum, I would put this mic about right there. It never failed me on getting a great kick drum sound. Bass rigs, I have a small bass amp, boom, right up on the screen. Awesome bass, really good rejection. All these little things here are for rejecting sound around the capsule or the cartridge, whatever that is. It's a dynamic. So yeah, oh, and also about that Mojave MA37, that was, let me show it to you one more time. This is a dynamic, doesn't need any phantom power or anything. This comes with a massive power supply that's heavy duty. This is a tube microphone. The tube is inside here, and once again, there's little holes all over this. How ingenious was that for them to make it? I know the Sonys don't have that. So once again, Mojave, thinking outside the box, doing something really cool, giving some life to this tube by putting these holes here. So this is a tube condenser. It has a little setting here. You can go cardioid or omni. Very versatile. I use every record. I use on everything. This is a dynamic, a legendary dynamic. If you go to Sunset Sound, East West, Electrical Audio, at one time the Power Station, or you go to Electric Ladyland, you're going to find an RE20 in there. So if you can go to Guitar Center, I would recommend, and if you don't have any money, just put on the credit card. This microphone will be your bass guitar, kick drum, and one of the coolest vocal mics you can buy. And the next mic I'm going to bring up, I'm going to have a story about that theory of when people say, like, what mic do I get? And there's all this hoopla about what you need to get and all that stuff. I'm going to get to that in a second. But RE20, I need this to make records. And once again, like the title suggests, which microphones, do you really need to record a band? And I think these really get the job done. RE20s are amazing. And this is something brand new you can get right now at Guitar Center. The same thing with the Mojave MA37 is brand new. The last time I had checked the price, it was about $4,200. That is a lot of money. But if you're going to invest in a tube microphone, and mommy's going to give you a little money that you can put on the credit card, or you can do a 3-4 payment through Sweetwater, I would suggest that becoming one of your go-tos. All right, so we've done this. Give me a second. I have all these mics next to me, and I just want to try to make sure I don't drop any of them. Where are you at? Hold on a second. Oh, hold that thought. I have a mic behind me. I believe I do. Holy God. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Huh. Oh, there it is. Thank you. I found it. I found it. Okay. Holy smokes. Did he just bring out an SM7? Now, what is this one again? I've got to look at these. I've had it so long. I'm sure it's an SM7. Yeah, just an SM7B. Okay. Once again, this is one of those podcast mics. It doesn't have the grill on it. I usually put a pop filter. It doesn't matter. This mic, if you notice that everyone uses these, they use them with cloud lifters. I have Neves and I have preamps that are really loud. If you have a DAW like a UA and you put this in it, you're cranking it, it's probably going to get noisy. Use a cloud lifter, it boosts the mic. These are what Michael Jackson, Metallica, the Muse actually uses these live on their bass guitar. A friend of mine talked to me about these because I had went in a session. I mean, he's a legit motherfucker. And I walk in and all the guitars have this on it. And then there's one on the kick drum and then there's one on the snare. And I was like, and I actually had used these for overhead. I did a Breeders record, probably 2007. And Kim Deal had two of these as overheads. She wanted them as overheads. So some things you may think that will be illegal to use this. Technically, you can use this on guitar. It sounds great on guitars, great on kick drum, great on snare, great below snare, great as an overhead, great as a bass guitar. I already mentioned guitar. And then you can talk about vocals. So once again, these are microphones. And when you go to Guitar Center, you go somewhere, and I shouldn't, I mean, I'm not going to use like, I'm going to say that, I'm not going to say anything, I mean, disrespectful to someone selling something. But if you walk in there and they catch any whiff that you may not know what you're talking about, and you say, I want to sing, they're probably not going to walk you over to this mic. And I'll tell you why. There's probably not a lot of money they're going to make on this. This mic is still $350, $400 brand new, maybe more. I haven't checked the prices. Some of my prices are going to be off because I'm not looking for these mics anymore. The reason is there's not a lot of markup on these when they buy them. So if they're selling this for $400, they would rather sell you the, Chupacabra mic that just came out. That's like $1,200, and Guitar Center gets it for $300, and there's a $800 markup. And like, dude, you're gonna sing great in this microphone. It's on sale. Used to be $1,800, now it's $1,200. And you're like, oh yeah, that's better because that's 12, and this is 4 or 5. No. Don't listen to that guy. These, thank you for posting that. He's posting it as $399, so $400. Thank you. These are the greatest microphones that every world-class studio has. So if you got a studio and you're trying to figure out what people use, all the big studios have these. Prince, Kim Deal sings out of these from the Breeders and the Pixies. I recorded her with these. The Muse, Metallica. You can look at all the Metallica videos. He's probably singing in one of these. It's a dynamic. And people do complain because they're just not loud enough. But prior to the world becoming a laptop and a DAW and a UA system, these were strictly used in studios that had consoles, and my old Neve had 90 dBs of headroom. There was no issues with, when I put this into my DMP BAE, which is an older, like a Neve 1073, I just crank it. I don't even think about it. But in the modern world, I have to put that disclaimer that you need to get a cloud lifter for this if you're using like a Universal Audio virtual preamp. If you bought an Neve 1073, don't buy a cloud lifter. You shouldn't have any issues with using this mic. So this microphone, once again, one of the greatest microphones you can use for a studio. Now, I'm talking to people here that have dreams or they are currently recording bands. And I'm going to give you the rundown of the mics that I use regularly. I have more, but I just grabbed mics that I've been using recently that have getting the job done. And I want to just tell you that it's not about plugins. I love engineering. If you're planning on recording drums and you don't want to use thumb drums and samples, I'll be honest with you. It's a farce. When they tell you you're going to get big drums by using samples, every single time I see someone showing those, I just go, that does not sound like drums. But if you hear any of my recordings or you listen to, you know, I'm not talking about Radiohead, the electronic side, but some of the stuff they do live, it's incredible. Or the new Smile record by the guys in Radiohead. You go back to Led Zeppelin and the Beatles, and I know everybody talks about that. But there is something to be said about what to use. So let's see. Tyler put in there. Interested what your overheads are. Well, if you tuned in a while ago, I did mention. If you go back in the video, I have a Mojave MA37 tube mic, which is like a Sony C37. I have that use that a few times, but I'm going to get to the overheads, which I've been using now. So that'll be my little thing in there. But once again, I'm trying to give you, if you don't know, like if you're a rad dude and you've just go ahead and move on. If you're like some legit guy and you're like, oh, boring, I already know all this shit. But you know what though? That guy definitely doesn't tell anybody. So that's great that you know that, but I'm here to tell you, no bullshit. These are all great mics to use. I use them all the time. And I'm like a broke, no joke guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here. In Los Angeles, I look at, just because of the music industry here, there's kind of old money and then there's like new money. And the new money is there is no new money. If you're lucky and you had gold records and points, those guys fucking raked in the money. And they buy studios and they bought houses and they live in the mansions and they can rent out Sunset Sound for a year at a time, paying a few $100,000 a year to be able to say, come make a record with me, I'm at Sunset Sound. And they continually make their living that way. That is one way. I'm like a guy that has been making records raw dog since late 90s with little money to no money. And so like a some hired for gun killer, I've had to find my own tools of the trade to get the job done. So I'm going to run through this. Yes, Radiohead uses RE20s, and that's all you got to say to some people. All right, SM7B, I don't care, new, old, vintage, they get the job done, really versatile. I use this every session, and I don't know what technically, but sometimes I'll just grab this and be like, oh, yeah, let's use this. I'll put this under this snare, no problem. Okie dokie. Give me a second. If you're tuning in, I'm just running down Mike's Live to record a band, and I'm taking a big drink of my Pellegrino. Once again, I'm a pimp, I'm a whore. In the thanks, you can buy me a coffee or a Pellegrino. Hold on now. Hold on now. In all clarity on me being on YouTube, I do it because I love it. It's turned out that I probably make somewhere between $100 to $400 a month if I'm proactive and not really these live videos, but I make content. I haven't made content really the way I did a while ago because, yeah, I didn't put any. I sometimes split this with some cherry soda that's made with cane sugar. It's so sweet, so I'll split it in half. But you know, when I'm doing content and I'm making like more production videos where I have a good camera, I've got lavaliers and I have to do Final Cut or not when I'm using Final Cut. Oh, what I have. Anyways, whatever. I'm just on my laptop. It's a big deal. That is something else. I don't have time in my life. I've just moved my studio. I'm trying to be proactive and having bands come in, but I still don't want to lose sharing information here because I feel things are turning in a way that this art of the microphone and the engineering of how people do it. I think you see a lot of big producers now talking about how they made records, and that's awesome. But there's still a lot of stuff. Uh-oh. Dude, I just got some Topo Chico money right here. Thank you, Man Network. Dude, you are awesome. Thank you guys. I told my wife I'm not coming home tonight because I'm making a video. She's like, what? All right, you made it worth it. I'll show my wife that and I'll be like, listen, people out there care. They want to hear this. All right, so you just made my day. I'm smiling. You can't tell, but I'm smiling. Next mic up. It's in my hand. What? Yep, I'm moving it around. It's actually my favorite kick drum mic and my favorite guitar mic. What are you talking about, Manny? Boom. Are you kidding me? No. Rage Against the Machine live bass. My bass in my studio. First turned on to me in 1997 or 98 by Mr. Steve Albini. This is a lavalier called SM98. Now, if you're looking for these on eBay, I would recommend. I mean, they have. I think there was like SM98B or A. Like there was There was like as they made these, they made a new one. If you can find the ones that are SM98, nothing else. There's not a B. There's not an A. If you listen to my recordings, I hang this down on a. It comes with a little, a little thin XLR wire that plugs into this, like a phantom power. It needs phantom power. This is a condenser. Takes super crazy sound pressure. They used to use these for toms as well. You'd probably get away with this on kick drum. On bass guitar, I probably have hundreds of records. This is my bass guitar mic. But I only have one. I had two. And when I had moved my studio, a buddy of mine needed them. I sold them. Obviously, I'm not going to lie to you. Like everyone else, I need money to make money, so I had to sell them. I had actually three, and I sold two of them to my buds because I needed money for building materials to build this studio. Eye for an eye, that's okay. What's up, Mark? So I'm recapping. This is my favorite microphone. It's a lavalier Shure SM98 used by Rage Against the Machine on the bass. I use some bass guitar, and all my videos. I'm gonna say, probably almost every record I've ever made, I have this hanging down where the beater hits the, where the drummer's playing and the beater is hitting the drum. I put this hanging, taped to the kick drum above the beater. And I learned that from Steve Albini. And what Steve Albini also does. Now, let's see, do I have something I can show? Okay, this is a screwdriver. But when I recorded with Steve Albini, and I do have one, it's in one of my cases, I have a Beyer 201 microphone. When I recorded with Steve, he had an SM98 taped to the top of the 201. And he had it lined up, and I'm knowing Steve, he probably put tones up and somehow found out until, if you flip one out of phase, there'll be no sounds until you'll hear a sound until the capsules line up and the sound will disappear. That's how you can figure out phase on these. So what you do is you get two mics up, you tape this on it, you can put it on a guitar speaker with a tone coming out. If these are not aligned and you flip this mic, you'll hear the sound. But as you get these capsules aligned, the sound will disappear. Now you know these are perfectly aligned. Then you flip the phase and you're going to hear this massive sound come in. That's one way you can do to figure out if you want to align two mics like this. So plans are in the future to buy another one. Hopefully you guys won't buy them all up on eBay or Reverb. I'm going to get another one, and I'm going to get my 201, and I'm going to have that taped to it, because even like Bob Clearmountain on the big records with Bowie and stuff, he would use kind of the same theory, not with this mic, but with a I think it was a Shure SM81. So you always had a condenser and a dynamic. And the reason is that uh, it I can't explain it to you except that it will add this other dimension to the snare that will just make you smile. And so yeah, so that is a super cool tip. And this is one of my, and I always say one of my favorite mics. If you see me using a microphone, I'm not even fucking with you. It's my favorite mic. Because they're all my favorite mics. They're all like my kids. Shure SM98. Go find one. Go buy one. Now, when you buy these, make sure it comes with a long cable. The end of the mini XLR goes into usually a square box or kind of a tube cylinder that will be able to hold a battery, but also be phantom power friendly. You need that because the XLR needs to go either into the square box or the cylinder tube. So if you look on eBay and it's got all that paraphernalia, it needs to have a square box or it needs to have this cylinder that the XLR connects to, and then on the rear of the cylinder you can put a XLR normal size into it. That's what you got to look for to do this. Okay, let's see here. Colt, is that right? Colt Groove. All right, welcome to the show. If you see my knees, I'm wearing shorts. I had to turn off all the air to do this, so it gets a little hot in here. Now I'm going to get to something which is really cool. So I have a new microphone right now in the world that I just can't seem to get enough of because I love it a lot, is an Alien 8. All the, like, if you know everybody that talks about Beyer, it's the 308. What is the Beyer number? It's the Beyer that's looks like a bear claw. I forget the name of it. But anyways, this has come into the world. They're made out of Australia. He's got a whole line of mics. I have a worm. I have this mic. There's one that's, if you can imagine, just half this part. He's got a bunch of stuff. Everything from Dr. Alien. You're not going to be bummed. I would recommend first starting off with the Alien 8. So, hold on a second. I'm the guy that had... Oh, yeah, that's right, dude. You know what, dude? I am lacking on that. If you can hit me back one more time, thank you. I appreciate that. And Dave Catching, big love to that guy. Any friend of Dave is a friend of mine. So this Alien 8 microphone, I think I can say this, they're just speakers inside. Microphones are just speakers. If you get some headphones, put them on a bass rig, put a DI on it, it's a microphone. So, cool, man. Dr. Alien. So these mics are figure 8, and there's a speaker, I guess, how does this work? So there's a speaker this way, this way, that way. So if you're using it, these are both on, and I think it's like this is on, and this is on, or this is on, or this is on. You can dictate what the, where's that little switch at? Am I blowing my mind? Hold on now. Huh. Oh, there it is. Just right in front of my face. This little switch right here can dictate all the different figure 8s right there. You can see them. So if this is like on the front of the bass rig, you can, make it where bottom, top, both figure 8. This is the bottom, this is the top. And you basically are just going to figure out a way that you really like it. I use it on figure 8. You can put this in a kick drum, or you can put this on. I use this all the time on a bass rig, which is why I had that little clip on it. I just went to the other room, grabbed it. The last record I did use it on it, and I am never disappointed. So this is a brand new mic that you can get called an Alien 8. And you won't be disappointed with any mics you grab from Dr. Alien. I think he's kind of did something that resonated with a lot of people, and I think it's really cool. I'm going to show you another new mic that's out. Now, this is not necessarily me pimping of these companies because they've hooked me up. I love these microphones. I love this microphone. This is a Lawton, a brand new mic you can buy right now called a 308. It is one of the greatest tom mics I've used for a lot of years. If you watch any of my older videos, I always pimped about an ATM 230. Always on my toms. They discontinued those. That's an alternate version. I mean, I think they used to sell 3-pack for like a few $100. I don't know what they cost now, the ATM 230s. I think that was the model number. But now on my toms, I am strictly using these Lawtons. And I haven't experimented with these would sound like on anything else because every record I do, I've only got 2. I instantly put these on the tom. So the latest drum video that you just saw that I did, what were these toms? If you look at any of my records or any of my toms or any of my pictures, you will see this mic. Now, its options are just some low cuts here, and I don't know if you can tell it, but there's a capsule there, and you can bet there's another one there. So you're looking at a capsule here, a capsule there. So when this sits on the drum, the phase between these two capsules are canceling out like rear sound and noises. But whatever the case is, whatever the tuning is, whatever the dimensions of how they made this, one of the greatest tom mics I've ever had. Still has the mic clip on it because I literally went in the next room, took it off the drums. I've got to put it back. If you're joining me now, I'm on the subject of, I'm not even lying, no bullshit. Plugins don't get me good drum sounds, microphones do. So I'm running through a list of mics that I use to record bands. And let's see here. Reading some questions too. Yeah, the rejection of 3/8 is like nothing else. You are correct, man. Man knows what he's talking about. I used to do CNC. We built all the Manly reference cardioid mics. Anyone used it? It's like, no, I have used the reference mics. I recorded that. And that actually, I want to say Maynard from Tool. I know the producer. I think that's what they used with him recently. Once again, I don't own one, but I gotta say, golden. And they come in different colors. I think they've changed over the years, but those Manleys are real deals. Um, and also, all I gotta say is Manly's rule. You know, I even knew a bud that had a Manly console. Oh my God! Hold on, I'm taking a drink of some Pellegrino. And even though I'm a YouTube talking head sometimes, my life is about recording sick ass fucking bands, recording and repairing ribbons, and I'm starting my own ribbon light company. So, some people think that if you're here and you're doing stuff, you know, I just don't. I can't really. I think my threshold or my tolerance for bullshit is just gone. I really, when I get swarmed with my social media, when a guy comes on, I don't know who he is, and he goes, people always ask me, well, that guy's already full of shit. I've been recording for a lot of years. No one asked me anything. I'm telling you. No, I mean, people are kind enough to ask me about stuff. I'm talking with you, but generally speaking, the art of making music is so elusive and hard and difficult. For them to tell you that if you buy, okay, here's an example. This has to do with engineering and mixing once you've engineered something. These days, people have virtual synths, and they'll make 100 tracks of these virtual synths. There's a video out there of Flood, Alan Mulder, and wasn't Daniel Lawat. It was like 3 serious fucking dudes, like the dudes. And they were kind of talking amongst themselves, not complaining, but they're like, yeah, a band will send me, 30 tracks of virtual synths. And if you listen to each one, you're like, oh, this is amazing. When you put them all together, I'll give my opinion, it sounds like a beehive. It's just buzzing and moving and there's no separation. Those guys have to run those synths out into consoles, into anything that is going to add some harmonics, saturation, separation, make it go into some analog gear to make it sound good. If these biggest mixers in the world are doing that, but then those companies that do the virtual synths are saying, hey, we're going to make your mixes sound better, it's a lie. You have to learn the art of making sure things, there's only a certain amount of room you can fit within the audio. And if everything you have is digital and it's jammed in this little area, it's going to sound like that. But back to microphones, hold tight. This is going to cause some trouble. I'm going to hand you a microphone, and I'm going to show you a microphone that makes me really, really, really happy. I know. Wait for it. Oh my fucking God. What is, oh no, you didn't. You didn't. Warm audio. WA67 with the Lundell transformer. Oh my God, you didn't, Manny. We're deleting this channel. I'm blocking you and I'm going to report you to the Department of Justice. Illegal use. These are illegal, only in Texas. I'm not lying. Not even lying. Okay, now here's the story on this. This is a story that I'll tell you, but I don't think anyone else would ever know this. Years ago, when Warm was getting started, and there was some, started ramping it up, and people were starting to go like they were making all their copies of vintage microphones. I was at the time working for Producer Like a Pro with Warren Hewitt. And I can't remember what year it was. I was at AES, which is a music kind of, it's kind of like NAMM, but for pro audio. And they're having it this year in Long Beach, but the other years, most years, it was in New York City. I had gone up to NAMM, and I remember walking around looking at these. And at this time, it was really like, I don't want to say taboo, but everybody had a certain opinion about what they were doing. And let's say it wasn't always the kindest. And I didn't know why. Because my feelings are, why not make these mics so anyone could go into Guitar Center and buy some tube mics and be happy they're using something that's a tube mic that didn't cost them the mortgage of their house. And that's when these were not that expensive, I know. I'm not going to say any more than that, but you are correct. Whatever that is, I'm not agreeing to anything except saying, in the universe, you are correct, and you know what I'm talking about. So, I'm out there with Produce Like a Pro. I tell Warren, hey man, I would like to do something with Warm because I want to be able to see if I can get a handful of Warm vintage mics and record a Van Halen song, which is already amasking a lot. And not only that, because I'm a hardcore Van Halen fan and Fair Warning was my favorite record, in my mind, I wanted to get all Warm microphones, 47s, 87s, 67s. I want to record the greatest fucking underground Van Halen songs. So if you look in my YouTube, you're going to find Van Halen, Fair Warning, One Foot Out the Door, and Sunday Afternoon in the Park. Now, before I did that, I'm at AES and I get that idea. I tell Warren, hey, and he's like, I don't know. And I meet the owner. She's way fucking cool. They're a husband and wife team. And they're still big. They're still making money, but they have yet not crushed it yet. And I convinced Warren to get an email from one of them. I don't think Warren's yet done anything with them technically yet. And I asked them if they can send me some stuff, and for Produce Like a Pro, I'll cut a song. So they were nice enough to send me 247s, tubes, the big ones, 287s, and 267s. And actually, my partner at my ribbon mic company, Earl, they look like RE20s and they were black. He lent me his warm audios, and I don't remember what they were, the model numbers, but I needed them because I mic both sides of the drums. And so I set up and I did this Van Halen song. It came out so fucking sick. And I was so proud because on the engineering side of things, I had proven that you can make a great recording. Obviously, I have a skill set. I've been engineering. The drummer was Jimmy DeAnda, who was in the Bullet Boys and George Lynch's band. He is one of my favorite drummers. Toned for fucking days. Brought in this custom DW kit. It was insane. Thank you, man. I'm glad you appreciate that. Insane. When I did the whole setup and I covered it, I recorded. I thought this was like the greatest thing. I'm proving that you could go to Guitar Center, not go broke. I'm sure all those mics, if you added up, it was a few $1,000s, but the results was insane. So I'm excited about this, but no one else is. I think Warm kind of promoted it a little bit. Well, it didn't matter. They were already on another trajectory, and then Warren jumped on and it went to another level. There's another video I have where I did all the 19s for them as well. You can see me, and that was sick as well. So I am not complaining one bit about that. But when I went to NAMM, after I'd done that video, there were a lot of guys that made fun of me. And I'm a 60-year-old fucking proud Latino guy. And these guys had kind of, berated me and belittled me. Oh, Manny, warm audio guy. And I was just so fucking pissed off because I did this for people that don't have fucking money. And I wanted to prove to them that you could just fucking record a band, go to Guitar Center, buy 2 of these mics, get a good drummer, and you could make something that sounded. And I remember I went to Dweezil Zappa studio, and he's a Van Halen fan, and I played him the drums at the beginning of Sunday Afternoon in the Park, and he actually told me, he goes, dude, because he has the actual tapes. He says, dude, you may have knocked that out of the ballpark. That may even sound sicker than the version that was on a Van Halen record. Even though, of course, it didn't, but that was nice of him to say that. But I'm just saying, I was so pumped. And then when I arrived, everybody was so fucking fucked up about it. And I never really talked about it, except it's kind of my little dark secret. When I make records, and I'm not even lying, I've done drum tutorials with other companies. And I was like, and I would do it, and I would send them this video, and they would be like, I mean, dude, listen how sick this sounds. They're like, you know what? You kind of did something with Warm on that. We really can't, like, and I was just like, oh my God, it's so political. Who fucking cares? If you're a musician and you have access, it's like guns or whatever tools, yeah, you can get the coolest tool brand, but if you go to Harbor Freight, maybe you get the lower one and you can still cut down a tree and build a house. So my theory is that. So this 67 in about this microphone, when I did that session and I listened back to the 2 Warms that I did Led Zeppelin style, like the Glenn Johns, I have not changed that setup since I got these mics. These are the same ones I've used. And I cannot tell you how fucking, and I had AKG C12As with brass capsules. Those were David Bowie, Queen. Oh my God, dude. I think I'd purchased them for somewhere around 7,000 to 8,000. I think now they're up to, you could probably buy a pair of them for 8,000 to 12,000. Incredibly expensive mics, man. But I remembered what they sounded like, and right after the pandemic, I had to sell them. Of course, like everyone. I know I have these stories of, like, people get fat and skinny. My studio gets fat and skinny all the time because I live and die by the sword. How much work I get, how much money I make is how I live. And I'm not desperate. I'm just saying it fucking is ridiculous sometimes with trying to remain not tainted, to get out here every day and talk about making music. So I got ridiculed. Oh my God, I'm talking. Anyways, I got made fun of, and I was really disappointed. And some of these people I don't talk to anymore now. Even that, Warren never did. He became one of the biggest fans of Warm and went on to do a lot of stuff with Warm. I didn't. Even if recently I did some postings and I tagged this, but they didn't really accept it because I had some other companies tagged with it. And, these companies have a really weird way of not wanting to be. But I can't do a drum video and tell you these are the fucking shit when I have Lawton 308s on the toms. Those are the fucking shit. And I have an MA37 on the drums, and that's the fucking shit. What can I do? It's like a mercenary. I am just using whatever it takes to make a record. And the people I want to talk to are those people that are making records. So back to this microphone. I had C12As, which are the cream of the crop ones you want. Those now the only thing is, I know this says 67 on it. And no disrespect to Warm, I can't use these on anything else. They didn't sound good on a guitar amp. They didn't sound good anywhere I had used it. I hadn't used it for vocals. I could be wrong about that. But on the drums, Jesus Christ, man. They sounded like my C12As, and I know what those sound like. And I have not taken these off my drums. I have a few times, I'll have some other mics I'm going to talk about. I had taken this off the drums and did a session. 2 songs I didn't use this setup because I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just crazy. And I was like, Jesus Christ, man, the drums don't sound as good as they did. The next morning, the drummer came in. I said, hold tight. I put these up. Oh, my God, that's it. That's the sound. These give me, if there's a Manny sound, these do it for me. So I really do try to take care of these. I'm going to have to buy another pair of these somewhere down the road. I don't have the finances right now. But I do want to buy another pair of these because I really love them. And I don't care if people make fun of it. That's not cool. Warm sucks. I don't care. Those people are really nice over there. They've been only nothing but genuine to me. And if I could tell them personally, like how important this mic is to my life, I would, and I have, but it's on deaf ears. They're in another world. They got hip hop artists, Dolly Parton, whoever's doing them. To them, that's way more important to them. And that's okay. But I'm glad I had enough, not only wits, but balls to go up to a company because I was really like, all the mic companies I work with are like Myberg out of Germany and Mojave, which is one of the greatest fucking microphone companies ever, Royer, AEA, all those companies are super sick. And here's Warm creeping up, making these copies that people are talking about, some of it not in a good way. And I wanted to tell people, if you're some fucking kid and you have a dream, get these microphones and record your favorite Led Zeppelin cover. And if the musicians in the band have any inkling of being great, you're going to succeed. And you don't need to buy a $10,000 set of tube mics on your overheads when you can buy a $1,200 to $1,500 to $1,800 tube set and get 67s. To me, that's who I want to talk to. Because to the fancy pants guys, they can go fucking suck their own balls, man. I don't give a fuck about that shit. Mic elite bullshit is bullshit. Don't believe what they tell you. Oh, you can only use a C12 when I'm doing vocals. Guess what? I'm not a trust fund kid. I can't put a C12 on vocals. Yeah, only vintage 87s or what? Yeah, guess what? I can't. I'm going to go get a United 87. I'm going to go get a, whatever's out there that's a copy of an 87. And I'm going to record an ELO cover. ELO recorded everything with 87s. I want to say 87s were on Chris Cornell on Black Hole Sun. I was never a fan of 87s, but as I've grown to find love in them, that is the next mic that I want to get. But the United, and I'm holding this talking about United, probably not a good thing because I think those guys used to work for them. But let's take this out of the picture. So no disrespect. Like United, those 87s are awesome, incredible. I have a pair. Incredible microphones, and I still wanted to do an ELO song, but I only have 2 of those 87s, and they're definitely not going to send me out 2 more. But that being said, man, no bullshit here. I'm not a mic elitist, but in my world, in my group, in my circle of amazing producers, the ones that never talk about recording are the ones that are really humbled. And in some ways, they're working currently in the studio with great artists. They're not going to really talk about how they record and what they do. And there's some guys that are on social media that are just fucking dicks are out. They're just like, yeah, I drive a Maserati and, I do this and I do that and I fly to Paris, and it's like when I record, I always use an M49, and they go on all about an M49. No one's gonna fucking use an M49. That's M49 is what Alice in Chains, the vocals. Um, that's the vocal on fucking Man in a Box or whatever. I forgot what song it was that they had used it for. But I want to have an M49, but guess what? Buy a Bee's Knees 49. Buy a the other company that makes a great C12N49. So it's Bee's Knees. You're gonna win with that. I'm at a loss for it. But anyways, yeah, there's some mics out there that I have my eyes on that aren't the real deals. But if I can put a great artist in front of that mic, like the way I put a great drummer in front of those worms, you're gonna succeed. And that's what I'm gonna say. So we're gonna move on to another mic here. Now this is a crowd favorite, but you're probably gonna think to yourself, what's the big deal? This is a big deal to me. This is a Shure. Oh, I'm sorry, a Unidyne SM56. And what makes this cooler, made for Los Angeles. They stuck a little badge on that. Oh, it's stuck to the coals. Hold on. Tells you how strong that magnet is. These microphones, I had a pair of these, and a drummer smacked one of them because I had these always on the snare. Cracked the head. It's broken. Son of a bitch. I know, Van Halen. I put this on guitar, and I do think when people say, well, what's the big deal? It looks like a 57. Yeah, cosmetically. But there's something about the impedance and the transform in these that make them sound a little bit different. If you can find from a credible source one that's working, yes, they're a few hundred fucking bucks. You will just be happy as day to get one of these. These are really good. I forgot what the other model is. Is it a 545 or something like that people really love? I have not used that except I'm going to say this is probably from the 70s or the 60s. These were from the city of Los Angeles. A buddy of mine had worked for the city, and he's not a musician. Oh, is he? Yeah, he think he was a drummer, but he came across a lot of these. A lot, which I mean like a bunch. Maybe it's 80s. You could be right. A bunch of these, and he had given some to his brother, and then his brother was nice enough to give me a few, and one broke, just never worked. One was smashed by a drummer, and now this is my last one. And I can only tell you that and I put all this tape here because these didn't really lock in well. And once again, I'm kind of really nerve-wracking when I use this. Sadly, I only put this on a snare if I know the drummer's not going to hit it. I had just left it always on a snare, and obviously a drummer cracked it, and he's not going to tell me he hit it. And it was busted. So this microphone I use on guitars. I did use on snare. But for guitars, oh my God, man. It just gets the job done. Do yourself a favor. I use this every session. I love it. Not sure. A Unidyne SM56. And it has the badge of Los Angeles on it, which I love even more. All right, I'm trying to move through this, so everybody be patient with me. Now, the last few sessions, if you've noticed, this has come into my world. This is a Lomo 19819. I believe that could be right. I think that's an M7 capsule in there. It's all original, and it's blue. Weird. I fucking love this mic. When I told you that one session where I switched overheads, I had put this as the overhead. It did, even though this is tube, and I know Albini, to a lot of people talk about these mics, it did not give me what I wanted out of the drum set by having this as a single overhead. It was tight. And one thing I will say, whatever you do in front of this, it all sounds even. There's no like, if I put this on, okay, well, I'll get to that in a second, but it's really balanced. So and when I talk about 3D, a great mic zooms in on the sound source. That's how, like, even those Warms, they kind of zoom in, and I know that's great. And that may be the Lindells, I don't know. But this mic zooms in on the sound source. So the reason it's blue, I have a dear friend that is Russian. And in Russia, or was it Russia or Lithuania? Maybe it was, oh God, where was it at? He got these. Could have been Berlin. The Blue Microphone Company, I don't know if this is the owner, but someone at Blue got this, painted it blue, ruined it technically for vintage, and then they didn't have a power supply and made a blue stereo power supply work with two blue Lomos. So right now in my studio, I have a real blue power supply from the company Blue that runs two of these Lomos. Now, when my buddy came out from Russia, he thought he had two of these and couldn't find it. I think he went back, not to Russia, but maybe Germany. And the guy, I think, found the other one. So soon, hopefully, I'll get a pair of these. Now, in all honesty, it did not have as much low end as I thought. So I was just like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just gonna put this as I call it a fuck you mic, but it's gonna be a over the kick drum. And if this is his snare, so this is the snare, top of the kick drum, tom, and like probably a cymbal right here. And I move this in the drums, and I recorded a song. I didn't even listen to this. I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna do it there. And I'd already like not dismissed it, but I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't sound as good as an overhead as I thought. But since then, I've been using it as room mics, and I put this on guitars. It's a fucking killer mic. So when I listen to the playback, I could not believe how incredible. When the drummer's hitting the snare, the kick drum, or does a tom fill, everything is even. The cymbals, bashing them, a drum solo, everything is, it's like you put up a fader, and let's say you just put up all the faders until everything sounded equal. But the intensity of this mic, taking the sound pressure, it sounded godly. So I'm figuring out more ways of using this. Yes, I haven't technically bought it officially yet, but I have. I'm working out a deal with the guy. And I'm excited to have this. And I actually do like it that it's not so vintage and it's just kind of painted and it's blue and it's not right. It's something that I'm going to use and I love, and my appreciation of mics gets me here. So this is a Lomo 60s. I think it's a 19A19 is the correct one, or 19A19, I believe. Original capsule. Now, my friend Mike Brodowski, who has Russian recordings, I opened this up and I showed him the inside. He says it's 100% all original. So it's not been really fucked with. That's the original capsule too. But the only thing that was fucked with, it didn't come with its original power supply. I actually like the blue power supply because it could be stereo. So if I can get two of these, that's going to be really fun to have. Maybe I'll try to revisit the overheads again, and I'll check the other one to see if there's any difference from the fidelity of this. Also, since I've never had this worked on, maybe it needs to be recapped. I may send it off and have Peluso can do really good work on this. So I may send it to Peluso and ask him about that. Hello, it's hard not to speak of frequencies when talking about mics. I know. And see, that's the thing, man. I don't, and one thing is that I don't use EQ. All the records I've made my whole career, I don't have any EQs in my recording system. So when I do the drums and I'm talking about all these mics, I'm using the mics like that beater, the little I use on the beater. This is my snap and the upper frequencies of the kick. So I'm using a microphone to get that sound. I use top and bottom snares, which I'll get to the bottom snare mic. So if you listen to the drums I did yesterday, and there's a plug-in of a Neve on it, it's just maybe adding a hair of low end, maybe a touch in the mids. But when I record and I listen back to the drums, I have no EQ, and I have never liked it. So my recording style may not be for everyone. There's guys I know that a band comes in, they've got their EQs already set up. That even if the drummer brings in his own drum set, you're gonna get slammed with the EQ and his decisions. Rupert Neve called EQs more of a correction tool. If you need that mic doesn't sound good, let's correct it. That's why he built those. I didn't know it that what's his name? He just passed away recently. He's a really sick engineer. Oh my God. Like Frank Sinatra-ish kind of style. Well, I found out that he never used EQ either. It made me happy. I was like, wow, really? Are there other people out there? When people come into my sessions and they're like, where are your EQs? And they hear the drums, they're like, how did you do that? You've got to have it. I go, no, I've never in my life recorded with EQs. I know, don't get me wrong. You're talking about if you have a console and now you have a bass guitar and a guy has a DI, you can just go to even be like, boom, 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 fucking great. I have to get the microphone, check the bass rig, move it around. It's a different experience. I amp, EQ, pedal, bass, switching basses. It's a deal. It's an engineering kind of a thing. So yeah, my experience recording is different than just reaching for an EQ. Now, if you're a real like, you got to get it done. You got no time to fuck around. I would probably get some EQs, you know? Um, but for me personally, I just don't use EQs. So this is a low, very special mic I've just acquired that I'm really, really loving. And hopefully I can have some more cool experience. I'm really stoked for this on guitar as well. Holy cows, Batman. Are we really doing this? Am I still talking? How many minutes are we into this? Hold on, let me see. Does it say right here? I'm looking at my thing. 72 minutes. Oh my God. Even if you decided you're going to take a poop and watch this, you got to be done. All right. Al Schmidt. Yep, there it is. I worked at Analoger. My studio was in Analoger. They had all Al's gear there. When I found out that he never used EQ, man, I was so happy because I thought I was just, I don't know. I just can't do it any other way. I don't like sounds. I don't want to know there's an EQ on it. But thank you. Yep, one more drink. Hold on. All right. I wasn't even thinking I was so thirsty. I put this out there before I could even pimp it. No mystery. Peluso. This microphone kicks ass. A P414, obviously something like an EB, got a brass capsule in there. This microphone on snare, and the only reason I'm using this is that, speaking of Mike Brodowski, he did the last Deerhoof record. Do yourself a favor. You want some ear candy? Watch some videos of him. Go to Russian Recording on IG and Soviet Recording, and he is just the man when it comes to mics. I did a Manny's mic locker. If you can find that, maybe about a year ago it came out. That is just amazing, man. So this microphone, Mike had been using it, and I saw it on a video. He had it up on a snare, and I said, hey, man, we were talking about the interview, and he was nice enough to put in a good word to Peluso, and they sent me out this mic. Of all the microphones I get sometimes from companies, was super pumped to use this because I love what Mike Brodowski did. And that's another thing, man. I'm in no competition with anyone. I will tell you, if your records are good. Here's a funny story. Kurt Blue, which is kind of the Rick Rubin of heavy bands. I don't know who he was, and I didn't know any history of him. But I was looking, what was it at? It was just a website of really cool bands. And I heard this band. And I go, fuck, man, that sounds like a band Vaz I did, but the recording was so killer, but it was reminiscent of my style that I like. And I remember I don't know who Kurt Blue is. I just wrote him. And I was like, hey, man, I don't know who you are, but like, your recordings sound really good. And I think he was a little tripped out because maybe I should have known him, but I was just being honest, man. I have no problem to call someone and tell them I'm a fan of what they do. So fast forward to these days, I ran into Kurt Blue a few times and he was just a little weird. So I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I don't know why. I'm a huge fan of his, and my own band. I know that's what it was. I asked him like 2 times when he came through town if my band can open for him, and he was just like, hey, dude, just contact my booker. And I was just like, nah, dude. When I wanted to open up for Shellac, I told Steve Albini, is it possible to open up for Shellac? He was like, fuck no. I was like, all right. 3 months later, he's like, do you want to open up for Shellac? I was like, yes, I do, sir. And I did. So I don't have any kind of qualms, but I'm just being honest with you. It was just a little strange and I was a little disappointed because I really, really love that guy. I still do. I still think he's but you know, who knows? I have no idea. Maybe he saw that I used these warm audio mics and he's like, that guy, I'm not talking to that guy. So anyways, that's not a beef. That was just, I was a little bit bummed because I was really, really genuinely thrilled to talk to that guy. I thought he really does and still does killer work. I'm super pumped that there's guys like him that are still living the dream of engineering. And you know what? The guy's fucking good. So there you go. Back to the Peluso. So they sent me out this mic. Once again, every record since the day this arrived, I've used it. I've used this for guitar. There's I think it's during the Mike Brodowski video, I did Rumble by Link Way. And this was on the guitar. And man, I'm just not disappointed. Hold on a second. Let's see here. I want to make sure I got some little peeps in there to answer someone. I watched Steve Albini say something about never using EQ and add anything. That is true. Let's see. Guru says here. Look how Dave hit you up. Yes, Dave was a sweetheart, man. And once again, Dave's a studio owner. He records all like the same world as me. I can't tell you on how much I love that guy. I am not looking to take any business away from him. If anything, I'll send anyone out to the desert. You know, they come into my studio and if they say anything that sounds like they would be better off recording in the desert, I'll tell them, call Dave Catching and record out there. So yeah, man, I'm all for everyone. I wish the world had more camaraderie, but some people are just fucking weird. What can I do about it? You can't do anything. I'm 60, or almost 60, and I don't give a fuck. You know, are you going to be by my grave when I'm dying, or my deathbed? Probably not. But my friends will be. Maybe I'll go live. Maybe you guys will all be there. No, that's creepy. That's morbid. So this microphone has all the same settings that you would get like on an EB or a 414. All the same ones. And it's built like a tank. I mean, God, I love this mic. So once again, this is another mic I use every session. I use this on the top of the snare. This could be a bass guitar mic. I'm sure I can use this probably as a kick drum mic if I need it. Even toms, if I had a bunch of them, I can use them on the toms. A center overhead. I did use this one time as a center overhead, and it was massive sounding. So yeah, a lot of uses. This is a condenser, and I'm sorry I may have forgot as I went through mics and labeled what they are, but this is a condenser mic. It's not a tube mic. Needs phantom power, but doesn't have a power supply and has a beautiful capsule. Look at that. Oh my God, I love that mic. All right, we're still going. I mean, I can't tell you, I didn't plan on really how long this was going to be, but I'm trying to move through this efficiently. We're almost winding down. So if you saw it this far, holy smokes, you're going to get a award. This black microphone, I've come to find out, is some kind of prototype. It is a Sound Deluxe U195. And my little thing has come apart here. Hold on. This, and I always say it, I know, don't hate me for it. This is one of my favorite microphones. A friend of mine, Fritz Machad, who helps me when I do vocals on my record, he He actually worked on Elliott Smith's last record. So Fritz is not only is a good friend, I trust him. And I'm not sure where he heard about this mic, but he initially told me, goes, hey dude, if you get any extra money, because I was telling him, this is years ago. I've probably been using this, whew, 6 years, 7 years. And he told me to get one of these. Now, whatever Fritz says, I'm gonna go out and do it. And this is before you can go out and get a United FET 47, which I will say get it because it fucking is unreal. I have one. But when I got that one, there was just something about this one that I was like, it sounds like a FET 47, but there's something that this mic does that no other mics do. And it's really crazy. And you'll see these modes here. That mode right there, there's pad, and then there's a mode that goes from fat to normal. And then what Fritz told me to do is he would put it on fat, which you're hyping the low end, and then he puts a low cut on. So that's why I didn't show you all of them. I was blocked by this, but yeah, I was turning around. But yeah, so there's a low cut. So if the switch is engaged, so that's low cut. Now I'm hyping the fuck out of this. So I'm putting fat, and then I'm putting a pad because I'm putting it on the kick drum. It's kind of like the whole theory of a pull tech. Like you're cranking the bass, but then you're lowering down the boominess of it, but you're making this massively good bass sound. That is this microphone. Now come to find out, I think they were trying to make something like an 87. It's even dented. That when I bought it, it was like, that was sad. So what I would recommend, these are somewhere between 700 to 12. There was a time when I did a few videos about these. People went out and bought them, so I know they disappeared for a little bit. But if you can go out and look these up, Sound Deluxe U95 is the same as a Bach U95. U195 is a Sound Deluxe, and I think a U95 is a Bach. Now, Universal Audio bought this, but they bought the company. So there's no more of these being made that were original. They're made by Universal Audio now. If you can find one and somehow figure out if it's an early Bach, because I had one of those as well years ago, U95, I think that was a model. It's great. Let me see. I want to make sure I answer these. You know what's crazy? If I don't look at these of comments that you guys are saying, when this goes back to YouTube and you can watch it again, I can't see these live comments, and I'm bummed out because I'm trying to read these as we go, so it's not only disrespectful, but I want to know what you guys are saying so I can possibly answer your questions. So let me go back a little bit to kind of check these questions out. Let's see. I was in LA a while ago. I left for Nashville because I could not. You know what? You're right. Living in LA is pretty close to being impossible. If I could move to Nashville, I would consider that, but I'm stuck in LA for a little bit. Let's see. Let me see, man. I know it's so tough to live here, man. It is true. So took an approach to help speed up process of students making connection between placement of. Yes, and then let's see, Shannon. We all have 10 favorite mics. There are favorites, and that's what we use. Yep, exactly. So these mics I'm showing you are my favorite. There's no hype. There's no companies behind me. I'm just telling you right now, I love these mics, and these are what I use. So if you listen to my drum tracks, you listen to my bass, you're going to see all these mics in different configurations. I have a bunch more, but you're just going to see these predominantly being used now more than the other ones. Let's see here. Manny, do you keep these on your head, or do you write down? No, I don't write anything down of these. I don't have a massive collection, but when I grab these mics, my brain just goes right to how I'm going to use this, what I'm going to use this. And also, there's not a lot of mics that that has a setting that says fat. So yeah, so I just remember this because I've made the mistake of using. This is also one of the greatest vocal mics. My friend Rob Schnoff did the Bronx record, and this is what the singer sang out of. I did a local artist called Lemo, And the first record, he only sang on this. And it was just, I couldn't tell you on how much perfect this is as a vocal mic, but I cannot get away of not using this on the kick drum. So it sits out there on the drum set. If there's a time I'll tear down the drum set, then maybe if a singer comes in, I could probably pair this up with the Mojave or pair this up with the RE20. But I like to use 2 mics on vocals always. Well, 3 actually, because there'll be a RE20, this mic, or the Mojave. And then in the room, I'll have another mic I'm going to show you next, or I'll use the Lomo. The Lomo has become my other vocal mic that I love for rooms, or I'll use the P414 for the room. So this is, once again, if you can find these, buy them, man. The greatest kick drum mic, and also bass guitar. One of the best vocal mics I have, and these are under 1,000. Maybe they're up now to 1,200, but Sound Deluxe was the Bach's first company, and then he obviously then came out with Bach, and then he was bought out by UA. And Bach is still alive. He's still a great repair guy. Oh, that would bring you to this mic real quick. I had Bach down at Analoger, and I brought this mic out to him because he made this mic. He looked at it, and he's like, what the hell? And it's black, and usually I want to say it was chrome. Yeah, it was chrome, but not anodized black chrome. He looked at it and he's like, he unscrewed it, and then he looked at the inside and he goes, dude, this is like a working prototype that they had that somehow, I mean, after the company was bought or sold, this ended up in Watts. So I went down to Watts and bought this from this cat that when I walked to his house, I was like, I'm going to get shot. Nothing say more than that, except I was just like in fear, like, but he was some guy. He had this like Neve console in the back. He was a total fucking badass. And he had this studio and he just wasn't using this anymore. And yeah, he sold me this. And once again, I don't know where he got it from, but everything about this mic, when Bach opened this up, he just said this was not really meant to be sold anywhere. And it's a little bit different. But I'll say I've had a regular Bach 195 or U95, whatever it's called, or U195. Buy it. It is so killer as long as it's not the new one made by UA. And I don't know how you can figure that out, but maybe they'll tell you the story about where they got it. And if it sounds like it was 5 or 10 years ago, it's vintage. All right, so give me a second. I'm going to show you. Whoa. One more mic. Hold on. Hold that thought. I can't believe we're really going for this, man. People, if you're going to stay to the end of this, oh my God. We're at 87 minutes. Jesus Christ. All right. Look at this beauty. What a classic. Oh my God. Life-changing is this mic. This is an Altec 1950s Coke bottle. This is when I first recorded with Steve Albini. When we recorded with them, which was in Studio B, these were on the floor out there. And when we walked down to record my band, Distoritonfelix, second record, sorry, he had said, hey, whatever you do, just don't step on those mics. And we were like, whoa, he just put the mics on the floor? I mean, dude, these are tube mics. They're very, look at how thin, like, that's so fragile. And come to find out, Mike Brodowski will probably answer this more than me. This is a 21D capsule, D as in David. If you get a 21B, they have slits on the side. Albini used the 21D as in David's when I was there. But if you get, both of them sound pretty goddamn incredible. But I think these ones are more directional that way. And I think if you put a B kind of sideways, the vents pick up sound as well. So once again, I don't know how these were used in the 1950s. I've also heard that some of these were made by AKG, which is ironic. This is an amazing microphone company from the United States, but the technology of the capsules was AKG. So I can only tell you, I use this mic for acoustic guitar, drum overhead, single overhead. For rooms, it just makes me so happy. I had a pair, and once again, when I moved my studio, it's almost like selling your kids. I'm being honest with everyone here. It is tough to live in LA, and it's tough to remain valid. I'm not a trust fund kid. It's hand to mouth. If I make money this week, I'm going to the store. If I don't make money this week, I'm not going to the store. So when I moved my studio, I needed building supplies. I sadly had sold one of my mics, but I just made sure I could keep one. And this one is my favorite with the 21D capsule. Altec 19, and I have a massive power supply that comes with these. You cannot go wrong with these. If you buy these and they're old, you have to get the power supplies recapped. Then they get quiet. They're not noisy, but definitely. I know. God, I can't believe I sold my. But you know what? I sold it to Dweezil Zappa. How about that? I know where it is, but he's never gonna fucking sell it back to me. Yeah, I forgot about that point. I think Dweezil did a video when I did his mic locker, and he brought it out. And yeah, okay. We all know it. Why is there tape around this? If you have these, you know why. This is a Sennheiser 421. It doesn't matter what era you get these. I really like these on kick drum, bass guitar, extra toms, guitars, vocals. They are like a 57. Some people are really weird about these and they talk shit about them. I love these mics. And one thing they never tell you, or people talk about, that S is for speech and the M, I believe, is for music. That dictates on what this mic sounds like. And you can go obviously anywhere. So if you have someone singing, you could just roll through this. Or if you have it on a tom or kick drum or whatever you're using, you could definitely play around with that. The tape is here because we all know that if you grab this mic when you pull it off the stand, this little clip here like pushes and the mic falls on the floor and gets smashed and ruined. I've had so many of these that were completely taped over here because they dropped so many times. But in my studio, I feel like I need one of these, and I think you should too. There was a while ago where Sennheiser sold these for $225, I think, or $175. They had a blowout. I have a best friend, and he bought a bunch of them, and he's like, dude, I love all these. And I was like, when did that happen? He's like, 2 months ago. I go, can you fucking tell a bro? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Like, no shit. I would have bought some. So you can't go wrong with these. I love these microphones. If your studio has these, just keep them in the drawer. You'll use them for something. And every studio that's like electrical, Sunset Sound, the Village, and you can go all the Abbey Road, wherever you go. These are going to be in every world-class studio. They have them. So you can't go wrong with that. Find them, even if they're all taped up, as long as you can test them and they sound good. It's not a beauty contest. You're just going to use it on drums, and some guy's going to smack it anyways. So, let's see, did I cover everything? We're winding it down, if you can believe it. I think that is everything, except one more mic. Holy cows. Here we go. This is a vintage 1960s AKG D224E. I've done some videos even with Warren, and I talked about these. God, it sounds like every mic's my fucking favorite, but this is one of my favorite mics. I wasn't aware in my life, most of my years of recording, about this mic or even its uses. Ross Robinson is probably one of the greatest producers of hardcore bands, from Slipknot to Korn. He's a local cat. Thomas Scriven, who owns Analoger, had done a record with him. So Thomas hired me to do some recording with him. But one of the conditions was, he says, I bought all these mics that Ross used. I don't want to use any other mics. And he's that way. It sounds just like Thomas. You're going to have to use all the mics that I bought that are the same mics that Ross used. I said, okay. And I walk over, and this is on the hi-hat. And I'm like, okay, it looks like a, what is that, a 421? Not, with AKG, oh God, the pencil condensers. What are they called? Someone help me out. 451. There he goes. Thank you, man. Thank you, man Network. So I thought it was that. But these are dynamics. And I'm not even lying. It's really heavy. Even minus that, it's super solid. So I've come to find out that the elements in this and I remember the first time I saw a picture of this because I had to go buy one. Then, let me get that story. So he has this on the hi-hat, and I'm like, no big deal. I mic up the drums. It's my drummer. I go to solo the hi-hat, and it is just the hi-hat, and everything sounds faintly beautiful around it. And when the hi-hat opens up and goes, and you know how it makes that nasty squawk, like, it's terrible. All drummers do that. I don't know why. This sounded beautiful. It wasn't louder. Like if you have this on a hi-hat, and it's like that opening of the hi-hat never blasts your speakers. And I was like, oh my God, man, that is so. I bought two, and I have one on the hi-hat, and I spot mic the ride, and no complaints, man. I used this one time on acoustic, and it's great. Now the story. So after we did it, I had to buy one. I'm friends with Ross, and Ross just, that guy got some Midas touch, and he's a great engineer. So a lot of the stuff that I picked up from Thomas was handed down from Ross, and now I'm sharing it with you. Okay, so this mic has okay, so I went to go buy this on eBay, or Reverb. I think it was Reverb I bought this. And when I bought it, there was there had a foam here, and then a foam here. And I'm like, I wonder if that guy knows that the foam's supposed to be there. But I'm the one that's fucking stupid. The foam was over this one because there's a capsule. Obviously, you see the vents here. This is, and then you wouldn't know it. There's a vent there. That's why you had the foam in the back, because this is like a low-end capsule or high-end. It's the same cartridges that are inside John Bonham's AKG, I think it was a D20. It's the kick drum that he uses, which has two elements in there, a high-end and a low-end. It's just like this mic. If you were to get this high-end capsule cartridge and put it right there, and like within a D12 the Bonham used, that's kind of it. So this is kind of like a submarine in technology. It's so massive. But the thing, if you're going to buy this, you got to get it from a reliable source. When I started to look for this one, there were so many horror stories about you buying these and there's no low end, because that little roll off, if that breaks or something happens to the cartridge, you can maybe fix it. Only Kohl's in Nashville I know of that can really bring these to life if there's a chance. But minus that, he has a graveyard of a bunch of these that people have sent him, hoping that he could fix it, and not on his skill, but literally there's fine hairs that are connected to there's all kinds of things that can go wrong with these, even this, that once they break, they're really close to impossible to repair. So I know that is from a drummer. And I remember I freaked out and I checked it and it was okay. And that was on the hi-hat. How did the drummer, it's on the farthest point of a hi-hat, and I heard the hit and I was like, oh my God, man. But it didn't break. Thank you. So this is the last mic. I have more mics, but I'm going to call it now. You guys have been sweethearts. We're almost at 100 minutes of doing a mic breakdown. I hope, if there's anything to be said, just the hope that you can record really well, have faith in your technique, listen to my videos. I have a unique style. I'm not going to lie. It's crazy. It's fucked up. It's distorted. I say a lot of F-bombs. I'm sorry. I lost my filter when I was 55. But as an engineer and someone, if you can, man, don't go down the sample pack of just getting the latest samples and just trying to get, your records will never sound good. I hear that shit on the radio, the big mixes, and I'm like, they don't sound like drums. But then you hear, like, even Tom Sawyer, you're just like, oh my God, like there's just something about the drums. You're just, whoa, even the White Stripes on that's, it's like a limp, but it's so slaying with the guitars. These are real drums and real sounds and real miking. Well, if you hung out this far, cheers to you. Thank you so much. You can always send a thanks. Shannon, you're not allowed to send a thanks. You've done too many. If you want to really help me out, and this is what I do, I can help you out if you order these. This is an R40, but the same style of mic from Sweetwater. It's called an MXL R144. They're $99. In my description is all my information. Contact me first so I can give you my PO. Buy these for 99 bucks, and I can get these to sound as good as these Coles, which are almost $1,400 mics. And it sounds killer. And everybody I know that has gotten these really loves them. So I'm also trying to say something like, oh, and it's $250 a mic. Sounds like a lot, but like, I'll ship this back to you. I'll cover this so you can get it shipped from free from Sweetwater. Send it to me. I'll return it back free to you shipping. I'll cover the cost of the microphone, and I'll cover the cost of my upgrade, which is $250 a mic. Only in the US. If you live in Australia, New Zealand, Berlin, Germany, it's usually about 70 bucks to 80 bucks. If we add that, I'll cover the extra if it's more to send it to you in Europe. But I really, really, I'm super proud to be able to work on these. And if you're wondering, like, the cost of this mic costs 99 bucks. You pay me $250. Now you're into the mic about 350 bucks. There isn't another ribbon mic out there that is in that market. You can say even Fatheads are 350 or 400, but they do not have good ribbons installed. They have Lundaus, they're a killer mic, but even if you bought a Fathead for 350 bucks, have me do the ribbon for 250. Now you're into that mic 600 bucks. There still isn't a great ribbon for about 600 bucks. SC Voodoos, okay. Maybe that small Royer, you're getting the quality, 600-700 bucks. Okay. But these are not like those mics. This is a big, big open up basket, really full sound, 5 millimeter or more a thickness of a ribbon inside, which is massive. I tune these. The ribbons are really, really have. They're not going to break on you, and if they do, I will fix that for you, and you can talk to me about that then. But you'll never have to get that mic re-ribboned anywhere else, even by accident. If you put it in the fan and power and it blows up, send it back to me. I'll charge you like 30 bucks, cover the postage, and I'll redo the mic for you. So that's my hype. That's the best I can do. Um, yeah, man, the Vanguard 44 is insane, man. Oh my God, that I didn't show it, but that on a guitar cabinet, unreal, because you have two capsules, and you can put one with an API and one with an Eve. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. We're gonna be signing out now. I'm gonna have some dinner, and actually, that I finally feel relaxed enough that I can repair that Coles. I gotta get that out by tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone.